Oh, I don't wear shaving.
Crawliest. And craziest.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2009 science fiction horror comedy Infestation. The film is written and directed by Kyle Rankin and it stars Christopher Rodriguez Marquette, Brooke Nevin and Ray Wise. Now the film focuses on a slacker, Cooper, who essentially has got a bit of a deadbeat job. He's not that interested in it. He's a deadbeat, and this one particular morning his boss has had enough, and while in the process of firing him there is some kind of strange noise that essentially knocks everybody out. When they wake up they are all covered in like this webbing. He pulls himself out of this webbing. Cooper wonders what's going on and then starts getting attacked by giant space bugs. He saves a few more people. He puts like a ragtag group of survivors together, and together they have to try and figure out what's going on and how they can stop this new infestation of alien bugs. Right, what are my thoughts on Infestation? Well, this is a film that I have had on my watch list for so long. I've never seen this film before. I like these type of films, you know, that like I've got a bit of a horror comedy sci-fi like feel to them. They can work really well, and at the same time they can be really cringy at the same time. I was hoping this was going to be a bit like Eight-Legged Freaks type thing, you know, that kind of humor, that kind of entertainment, and to be honest it's not a million miles off. I was quite surprised by this film. This was a little bit better than I expected it to be. Now, that's not to say that I think this film is a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, because it just isn't. But there is a certain charm of this film, and it does do some things right. I think in regards to the horror elements in this film, and I think this is always something that quite a lot of horror or sci-fi comedies kind of get wrong. They'll focus too much maybe on the comedy, so it becomes slapstick, and they forget about the horror. This film does a fairly decent job of giving us the horror elements aspect of this film. It's not over the top, don't get me wrong, and there's not loads of gore or anything like that, but there is moments here in this film, a few body horror moments as well, that, you know, actually does quite well in regards to the horror elements, and it's just pitched just right for a film of this type that's quite light in its approach. So that bit I thought was quite appreciated. Now the effects at times here in this film look pretty cheesy and not particularly well executed, but it gets away with it because of the charm and personality of the film. It doesn't particularly harm the film at all. If this was like a film that took itself too seriously and you saw some of the effects in this film, you'd just dismiss the film, sort of thing. It'd take you out of the immersion. It kind of works here with this. It almost feels like this film, like they've kind of approached it almost in the way of a sitcom. That's kind of slowly introduces characters. It feels at the beginning of the film, it feels like the start of an episode of a sitcom sort of thing. So it's quite accessible for an audience member. Another thing I think the film does get quite well, is the characters here. I think the character of Cooper is a character that you do warm up to. You know, we like an underdog story, certainly in the UK, and you've got this, you know, essentially pretty useless bloke having to be, you know, the saviour of us all to a large degree. And you do end up kind of rooting for him. And there are some other characters in this film that, you know, are quite... you warm up to them as well, in a sense of they're written quite cleverly, in a sense of they don't give you big backstories for people, but they are quite charming, and you do end up caring for them. And even the ones that you're not that fussed about, they kind of... you kind of feel bad if you like when you lose a character. There are some that are poorly introduced, and they kind of out of the picture fairly quickly. So that's actually not too bad. Sometimes you get these films where you've got half a dozen characters in the film, and they're in the film for the whole of the film for the most part, and you just don't care about them because they're so poorly fleshed out. Whereas these, I think, have got a little bit of personality, and you do actually care a little bit for them. And in regards to the comedy here, again, they don't go too far with it, in a sense of it's quite light and subtle, and it just doesn't stray too much into slapstick. There are a couple of moments here and there where it kind of skates on thin ice in that sense in regards to the slapstick, but you always feel like the characters are in real threat, because these bugs are blind, so they can't make any sound. So you get that feeling of tension where they've got to be quiet here and there. And then also, I think the film does a fairly decent job of giving us a good variety of bugs. There's like the giant cockroachy type bugs, if you like, or beetles, and then you get these other flying things, and then you get these like spider creatures that are like hybrids of humans, and they all add a little bit of a different threat sort of thing. So I was pleasantly surprised by this one. I was certainly entertained by this one. I did think it was a bit of a fun watch. If it's something I could get hold of on Blu-ray, I probably will add this one to the collection because it is a fun watch. And I think once Ray Wise is introduced into the film as well, he plays Cooper's father. For me, he's introduced too late into the film because he's just a joy when he arrives into the film. Ray Wise is just always so welcome in movies like this. He just adds a real element of class to the film, and his character's fun. So yeah, this is nothing massively special. It's fairly predictable stuff. You've kind of seen it all before, but they kind of do it to the point where you're just kind of thinking, yeah, okay, this is entertaining and this is enjoyable to watch. And there's a certain type of audience member that would watch this and get a kick out of it. Don't go into this trying to take it seriously, and don't go into this thinking you're getting a massive gore fest or anything like this. It's quite light in its approach, but it is certainly quite enjoyable to watch as well. So yeah, this was a pleasant surprise, and I'm glad I finally checked it out. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you can think of any really good horror comedies like this that you think I might enjoy checking out, and I will certainly look out for some more. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very soon.